I mean, I hate to laugh because so many people have died. It's murder. It's war. I mean, let's get just dead serious right off the bat. It's a war crime. The United States is a nation that is committing, the most egregious of war crimes, a war of aggression. This was a war of choice. There was no imminent threat from Iran. In fact, what had been articulated as an imminent threat by the United States, Iran's nuclear program, was being resolved diplomatically. And that when the United States and Israel carried out their surprise attack, when the Japanese bombed us, it was called the Day of Infamy. Imagine what the Iranians call it, but it was perfidy. Literally, we were operating under a flag of truce, and then we attacked the Iranians. So we are a war criminal state, and Pete Hegseth is a war criminal. And we have to start out by this because of evaluating everything that follows from this. America, wake up. Our government is committing crimes in your name, our name. We are a war criminal nation. So now let's take a look at this. Some people would say, well, the ends justify the means. I mean, if we get rid of the Iranian state and we can secure Middle East oil and all this stuff what's international law? We've been breaking it. What the hell? We invaded and occupied Iraq back in 2003, spent better part of a decade doing that. And nobody, thousands of Americans died, but nobody cares. For all you people out there that care about I just despise these people. We support the troops. Really? Do you really support the troops? You've never supported them because you haven't gone to the VA and changed the colostomy bag of a guy that got his guts blown out. You haven't held the hand of a wife or a daughter has to sit there and stare at her husband or father drool into a cup because his brain has been addled by a roadside bomb. Nobody cares about the American troops. We like them when they're good looking and in uniform. Girls are like, hey, I'd like to date that guy. Really? You'd like to date that guy? Why? Because he looks good in uniform? But what happens when he comes back in a wheelchair or a basket case, or he comes back with a drinking problem or a drug addiction because of the pain that was inflicted on his body or the psychosis in his mind? Do you love him then? No, you walk away. Then you leave him abandoned. Now his guts are torn out and his heart's torn out. No, America sucks as a nation. We don't support our troops at all. And so, we're talking about sending people out to fight and die in a war to achieve what? Pete Hegseth said this was because we're going to remove the regime in Iran. 47 years, those people have been tormenting America. Really? I think it's America that's been tormenting them. Iran hasn't sanctioned us. We've been sanctioning them. Iran hasn't assassinated our nuclear scientists. We've been assassinating theirs. I mean, America, this is the stupidity of the American people is beyond belief, buying into this notion. We're going to get rid of the Ayatollah and suddenly the regime is going to collapse. And in the process of collapsing, we'll get them to agree to get rid of their missiles because that's the other stated objective, to stop Iran from launching missiles and drones. Well, the regime didn't collapse. We killed Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The regime is there now. His son is now the Ayatollah. Yeah, we got rid of the one Ayatollah that said it was against the law to produce nuclear weapons, and we replaced it with another Ayatollah that said, who knows? Maybe we'll have to reconsider this because you guys attacked us. Nuclear-armed nations attacking us when we're supposed to be perfected from this attack by the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. It says when you sign the treaty and you've entered a safeguards agreement, you're sort of immune from this sort of thing. But no, here comes the United States and Israel because we don't care about international law, bombing Iran. We didn't collapse the regime. We made them stronger. So, Pete, you lost. If your job was to collapse the regime, they're there. They're winning. You're losing. Now, what about those missiles, Pete? How'd that happen? Well, I don't know. Ask the Gulf Arab nations get bombarded every. Ask yourself, Pete. Where's the classified report on the battle damage assessment done to the U.S. bases in the region? They're being wiped off the map, Pete. That's on you, pal. And what about Israel, our ally? They're getting slammed every single day. That's on you, Pete. You haven't won anything. We have lost this war. We're losing it now, and we've lost it badly because now the unintended consequences, when I say unintended, they were knowable. Everybody knew it. The global energy crisis that's taking place right now. That's Donald Trump's crisis. He did it. Pete Hegseth did it. These war criminals have now also committed, economic crimes against the world. How'd you like to be Japan, thinking America's your ally, South Korea, America's your ally, and suddenly wake up one morning, not only to find out that your energy prices are going through, you're going to have to start South Korea rationing gas because they don't have any. They got it all from the Middle East, and it ain't flowing right now. But it's not just that. We took away all their air defense, too, and sent it off to the Middle East because oh, yeah, our air defense sucks. We don't know how to defend against missiles. So not only did we not knock them out, we can't shoot them down. The Iranians have free reign to strike wherever they want, whenever they want, and there's nothing we can do to stop them. We lost this war.
What military? It's got a tremendous dissertation. My hat is off to you. I don't even think you came up for air. What military purpose would be served by the introduction of boots on the ground?
None whatsoever. I mean, look, ostensibly, let's back this up. In Trump's first term, the Iranians shot down one of our Global Hawk, I think, drones, big drone, got shot down over the Strait of Hormuz for, theoretically flying into Iranian airspace. And Trump, being the blustering fool that he is, said he wanted to bomb them in return. And the Pentagon said, hey, boss, we may have stranded into their airspace, but I don't know, we're America. You can't shoot down our drones. We have to punish them. So they drew up a plan to strike Iranian air defense sites, the ones responsible for shooting it down. But the Pentagon said, hey, you hit them, we're going to start a sequence of events. It's going to finish with them blowing the hell out of all of our bases, knocking the crap out of everything else, and there's nothing we can do to stop it. We don't have the forces arrayed for this. And they said, here's the important part. In order to defeat Iran, we would have to come in with about 900,000 troops. It would take us easily 9 months to 1.5 years to assemble these troops. And even once we assembled them, there's no guaranteeing we would get them across the beach, because this ain't going to be Desert Storm, where American troops are flying into airfields where nobody's attacking them, or landing in ports where nobody's attacking them. The Iranians will be destroying all the infrastructure, and they have missiles that can hit our ships as they come close to shore. You may not want to start this thing, boss. And Trump wisely refrained from striking. So now today, you got people talking about ground action. Understand that anything we're talking about, what, 10,000 troops? Guys, you can't do anything with 10,000 troops. When I helped plan, I was just a junior lieutenant time. I did the intelligence. I fixed up the intelligence assessment for the amphibious op to take Bandar Abbas, which is a major Iranian city. We went in with 60,000 Marines. That was the plan, 60,000 Marines. And then the Army was going to follow through with about 180,000 soldiers. So we have 240,000 guys on the ground to take Bandar Abbas. Major effort. We don't have that capability today. We don't have the prepositioned ships. We used to have all our stuff on ships, so we could come in with amphibious forces, seize the ground, then bring the ships in behind into port, offload them, fly in the troops, and off they go to fight. We can't do that today. We don't have any of this capability. We'd have to mobilize troops. It takes us 6 months to get a single heavy army brigade out of its base in the United States, ready for deployment, to ship down and go off to Europe to do its little rotational duty. Now you want to talk about moving hundreds of thousands of troops to them. We don't have the shipping to do it. We don't have anything left. We suck as a military. People need to understand this. So now what have we done? We're going to send in 2 Marine expeditionary units. Yay, battalion landing teams, the Thundering Herd and Dark Horse. These are legendary Marine units, but Marines aren't immortal. And you put them on a beach without appropriate support, they're going to die. We put multiple battalions across the beach at Iwo Jima to take on the Japanese. Now, we're going to take card with two Marines, and where's the reinforcement? So the Marines are going to come in, do an assault. Think Tarawa for a second, guys. Study it up. Marines waiting 1.5 miles, chest deep water, getting machine gunned down. They finally get to the beach and assault through. Thousands died. Where's the reinforcements? There's no more Marines there. Oh, the paratroopers are going to come in. You guys ever think about airborne operations? They jump in with what they have. What happens when they run out of ammunition and you can't resupply them because everything's getting shot down or the drones are coming in and hitting them? They all die. They tend to surrender. Think the British, Arnhem, A Bridge Too Far. You might want to look at that movie. What happened to the first British airborne divisions? What's going to happen to any paratroopers we send in? This ground invasion stuff is nonsense. So the Rangers are going to come in. Really? The Rangers aren't that good, first of all. A bunch of young kids with shaved heads who prove they could do a bunch of tough stuff, but they're not that good at fighting. And they're going to go in and do what? Die. That's what they're going to do. Die. Delta Force. Delta Force went scud hunting during Desert Storm. Every insertion was detected by the Iraqis. Every Delta Force team that went on the ground was running for its life in the first hour it was on the ground. That's how good Delta Force is. Now we're going to go into Iran, which has many, many more troops. We don't have a plan. This is Pete Hegseth making it up as he goes along. The fact is that we're mobilizing these forces now means we didn't think about it up front. So now we are reacting. And when you're reacting, now we come into Colonel John Boyd, the decision-making cycle. The OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, act. fighter pilots know it because that's how you shoot people down. The Marine Corps adopted it as part of our maneuver strategy. You want to get inside the enemy's decision-making cycle so that you're acting, they're reacting. And when that happens, you win 100% of the time. Guess who's reacting? The United States. The Iranians own our decision-making cycle.
Wow. Are we negotiating, or is Trump making this up?
He's making it up. The Iranians aren't negotiating. Judge, again, I'm laughing because it's mind-boggling. Hollywood couldn't come up with a script like this. I mean, people would read the script and go, no, this would never happen. That's unrealistic. No diplomat would ever do that. And no nation would allow itself to be fooled twice. Donald Trump in June 2025 said, hey, let's have a nuclear deal. The Iranians went, we're ready, negotiate in good faith. We're going to go to bed on Friday night, work Saturday, Sunday. On Monday, we'll show up and we'll conclude this deal. They went to bed Friday night, bam, 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 assassinated by Israel using U.S. intelligence. Trump bragged about it. Not making this up, guys. That's what we did. Perfidy. Now we come to this one, and Trump said, we want a deal. And the Iranians went, okay. And they sat down and they made a deal. They actually had a deal ready. People were flying into Washington, D.C. to get it signed off on when, boom, 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 there we go again, surprise attack, perfidy. The Iranians are done. The Iranians have shown so much restraint over the course of the past years. They haven't gone full bore. But now they said, it's all bets are off, guys. We're taking everything out. You want to play this game? We're going to take it all out. Wait till they start hitting the desalinization plants. They already hit one in Kuwait. When they take them out, there won't be a single nation left. I mean, I love the United Arab Emirates, those fat, stupid Arabs with all their oil money, ruling over a country where 85% of the population isn't Arab. They're foreigners coming in. 85% of their military are mercenaries, the Sparta of the Middle East. And they're sitting there talking big and bad. Your desalinization plants are about to go boom. And when that happens, you won't have anybody left in your pathetic little country. All you'll have is a bunch of sand, and good luck. You'll have some oil. You can drink that maybe, but that's it. You won't be drinking water unless it's salt water. Then you'll die. That's what's going to happen to the totality of the Gulf Arab states if this war continues. And it's on Donald Trump, and it's on them because they're sitting there playing the victim. We didn't want anything to do with it. BS. You gave safe haven to American troops that were then used to attack Iran not once but twice in the past year. And you want to pretend you're innocent? No, you're paying the price. The only way you get out of this is to kick the United States out, which is one of Iran's principal negotiating positions. But they're not negotiating. They just said, you have to get the hell out of here. This isn't a game of us sitting down at the table. Who are they going to sit down with? Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner? No, they're the same guys they sat down with the first and second time. They're not going to do that. There's other nations out there that are desperate for a peace deal that are in contact with the Iranians. The Iranians are telling them, pound sand, we won't negotiate. Then they go to the United States and say, well, we think what the Iranians might want. And Donald Trump then says, I'm in negotiations with the Iranians. The Iranians aren't giving the United States anything. They're not doing it directly or indirectly. This is the fantasy of Donald Trump. I mean, the man is just a psychotic liar.
Here's Pistol Pete just a few hours ago, about 8 o'clock this morning, trying to convince a skeptical press that negotiations are going on. Chris, cut number 21. A headline in the Wall Street Journal saying Trump willing to give up on the Strait of Hormuz.
It's not give up. Your ass has been kicked. And Pete, screw you, you lying sack of manure. I mean, this guy is pathetic. A deal, there is no deal, Pete. You lost the war. Our negotiating is bombing. What the hell have you been doing for the past several weeks, Pete? You used all of your precision-guided munitions. You got nothing left, Pete. Nothing. You blew it all. You shot your wad, buddy. And what'd you do? Squat. The Iranians are still there, and now you got to come in with what? Conventional bombs, gravity bombs? Because that's all you got left. Hey, Pete, you might want to pick up a history book. We spent a couple years bombing the crap out of Nazi Germany. Didn't work, pal. Didn't break their spirit. Did the same thing to the Japanese. Bombed their cities. Committed war crimes. Dresden, the firebombing of Tokyo. You want to firebomb Tehran? Do it. They're ready for you now, Pete, because Iran doesn't care. They recognize you for what you are, a lying war criminal. They're not going to negotiate with you, and they're not going to negotiate with Donald Trump, another lying war criminal. This is the problem when the United States operates the way it has, arrogantly and ignorantly. We are liars. There's no credibility. There's no reason for anybody in the world to believe us. Hell, Europe doesn't even believe us anymore. Italy just said, pound sand, you can't use our base. America's like, what? I thought we could use those bases. Hey, good planning, Pete. You never thought about your European allies, did you? You might want to check that box off saying secure European support before going to war with Iran where we require European support. Now, Spain, I'm just telling you, when I flew out to the Gulf War, landed in Spain, going there, landed in Spain, going back, because Spain's an important intermediary stop. Not anymore. Sigonella, Italy. Nope, can't use that anyway. Brindisi, no, it's all gone. You didn't secure the European support before engaging in your illegal war of aggression. And now Europe's telling you to pound sand, and you got your feelings hurt, Pete. You and Marco Rubio are like, oh, NATO didn't come to our assistance. NATO isn't going to participate in your illegal war of aggression, especially the one that is crushing their economies right now, and you failed to coordinate with them. I mean, this is literally, we're talking about the most amateur, criminal-minded idiots in the world. At least Dick Cheney wasn't incompetent.
I can see you're on fire, but this is actually going to raise the heat a little bit. This is also Hegseth from this morning. Chris, number 17. Doesn't know what he's talking about.
Hey, Pete, you got 15 ways to go into Iran? They got 31 independent autonomous military districts. So let's just say your 15 ways takes out 15 of them. They got 16 left, Pete. I mean, your math sucks, Pete. This is what happens when you have a clown that's been promoted to the Department of Defense, which is, he calls, Department of War. Pete can't wage war, doesn't know how to wage war, never did wage war. I mean, he went in there and did low-intensity conflict on a limited basis. He's no war hero. He's a joke. And what? He couldn't even be, he'd be fired. If Pete Hegseth gave that briefing in my Marine battalion, I wasn't the commander, I was just in it. But I just tell you, I've done briefings, battalion commander. If you came up and pulled that kind of crap with that kind of semantic structure, fired on the spot. Because that is shallow as it is. There's no substance to what he's saying. He's just out there throwing platitude after platitude after platitude, saying big words, big plans. I want details, Pete. Boots on the ground. Yeah, your president is saying all options are on the table. It's not about options, Pete. It's about capabilities. All right, Pete? I mean, my God, man, stop bench pressing, stop doing push-ups, and start thinking. Oh, you can't think because you're Pete Hegseth. This is frustrating because Americans are dying and Americans are going to die.
Here's one of your fellow Marines, a young man by the name of James Webb. His grandfather, whom I knew, was the Secretary of the Navy under Ronald Reagan and then became a U.S. Senator from Virginia. The grandfather was a great man. This young man told our friend and colleague Tucker Carlson he would never let his sons join the Marine Corps because he didn't want them to become mercenaries fighting a war for a foreign country. Then he began to talk about war games in which he participated, and it didn't go well. Cut number 8, Chris. Hubris. Trump, Hegseth, hubris on spades. In spades.
100%. Well, I mean, look, you and I share a great affinity for James Webb, the former Secretary of, he's a war hero. He highly decorated Vietnam War hero, and he's just a hell of a guy. I remember when he ran for president, the thing that lost him the presidency is he said, what was one of those adversarial relationships in life and how to work out for it? He said, well, that North Vietnamese guy that threw a grenade at me and I threw it back and killed him. It didn't work out for him. The American people couldn't understand that, so they didn't vote for him. But I understood it, and he would have made a great president. But, look, his son, I respect his son, but let me just correct the record here. If you've never been to Iran, don't ever talk about Iran. All right? He said he wouldn't want to live there. You haven't been there. Okay, Iran is a fantastic country, filled with just loving people, intelligent people. I've been to Iran, and I have to tell you, I was never treated better. I was treated pretty good my last trip to Russia, but when you're friendly with people, they tend to treat you well. And if you're friendly with the Iranians, they will treat you well. And he speaks of their scientific. Yes, these are some of the best scientists in the world. Is it possible to defeat Iran? Guys, Iran was occupied by the United States, Great Britain, and Russia during World War II. So it's possible to defeat Iran. I mean, you can talk about history all you want. Learn your history, Mr. Webb, before you speak and study about Iran. I agree with his basic sentiment, but you can defeat Iran. They've been defeated in the past. It's not as though they're invincible. But Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump aren't going to defeat them. The terrain is a factor, but not in the factor of the way. Again, No one's talking about landing in Bandar Abbas and surging across the mountains and the desert to get to Tehran. If you're going to do Tehran, you come in through Azerbaijan, you go down the Caspian Sea coast, and you do an amphibious hook. We've been planning that one too. Can't do it anymore because we don't have the troops, the resources. But if we're going to go in, we could secure the Strait of Hormuz, but it would be a major effort. I'm talking about major effort, World War II style D-Day, Battle of Okinawa effort, where we're going to lose tens of thousands of troops. For what? For what? I mean, tens of thousands. We only have 10,000 there now. And I'm talking about if you want to secure the Strait of Hormuz, you better bring 20,000 body bags because that's what's going to take.
Let me correct myself. You probably know this, but we're too diplomatic to correct me. The Jim Webb, who was the Secretary of the Navy, who is a great man, who is a decorated war hero, is the father, not the grandfather of this fellow. The grandfather was also a decorated Marine, but it is his father who was Reagan's Secretary of the Navy.
Yep.
John Brennan, head of the CIA in the Biden years, had quite a tongue lashing for Trump and Hegseth. Chris, this is yesterday. Chris, cut number 20.